They say that the human race is doomed, that we have lost touch with our true nature, that the media has corrupted us, and that the planet has no future. I disagree. I believe that humanity is full of hope, and that our salvation lies within each one of us. My name is Brian Rose, and my job is to listen, the oldest method of learning known to man. Each week I seek out individuals that are changing the world, people who are living and thinking in a different way. Their stories will challenge your beliefs, make you question your choices, and perhaps inspire you to change. I never planned on doing any of this, but now I can't stop. Join me on this mission and make humanity something we can all be proud of.
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Tom Kirkham, recent graduate of our Broadcast Yourself Accelerator. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. It's a pleasure to meet you. It's a pleasure to be here. Just all the way around. It's always fun to go to London anyway. So.
Tell us a bit about you. Where are you from? What do you do?
Oh, wow. Where am I from? I'm a native Louisianian, right? So fourth or fifth generation. But when I was 6 months old, my dad moved to Washington, D.C. He was a civil engineer, right? So little bit of similarities with your background. But we moved around a lot when I was a kid, but mostly in the U.S. South, right? So there was, of course, we lived in Virginia. Virginia, Florida, Mississippi, Arkansas, and then later on I moved back to Louisiana and moved back to Arkansas, and that's where I am now. So I've lived in Arkansas by far more than anywhere else, though.
Okay. And I just missed you down in Tennessee from my Ironman. We were a couple hundred miles away from each other.
That's right? Exactly right. I thought about that. I was in another intensive training session. I bit off more than I could chew. I took 2 or 3 on at one time. But yeah, I thought about that. I thought it was kind of ironic that we were so nearby. At least in the same state, the whiskey state.
That's what it is, yeah, of course. And what brought you to want to broadcast yourself? What was that thing? Had you been thinking about it for a while?
Well, I'd actually done it. I had a podcast, and I think I burned through about 10 or 12 episodes. And I had a radio show for 4 years, even before that. And I really enjoyed it. But for me, I didn't know, I knew what I did with the radio show, and I quit that for other reasons, not because I didn't enjoy it and not because of the ratings or anything. It was just circumstances. But with the podcast that I'd begun, I didn't really see the purpose in it. I didn't know where I was doing it. I was doing it for the fun without having an overall goal and, something to really, look forward to, and, it's just wandering. And so when I came across you, I think I heard of you on the Andreas Antonopoulos interview that you did, and I'd never followed you before. That's the only video I think I've seen of yours. So I hate to say that, but that's it. But anyway, I went to the webinar. You had a webinar jam and all of that, and what it allowed, there were things that you said in there that, yeah, I got the technical parts. I'm pretty much comfortable with microphone, talking to people, interviewing people, or just talking by myself for an hour. But there were other things in there that really made me realize you're going to short circuit or time compress my learning curve for the bits and pieces that I don't have. So for those that are listening to this, if you think you know everything but you've never made a successful business out of it or anything else like that, there's bits and pieces of the course that you're going to be able to take and expand on. Of course, it never hurts to talk to anybody that's in your trade or your business to get more ideas. And so with the intensity of the course, because you've got it just nailed down, there's a lot of homework and everything like that, I saw it as a way to, get me off of some of my habits is to overanalyze everything. Wait for it to be perfect. Wait for it to tie in with another endeavor that I've got. And it was really the biggest thing that I got out of it was just do it. Just do it. Right or wrong, don't wait for perfection. It'll never get done. And that was one of the biggest things I got. But there's other things, and even last night, when we were all talking, I got another idea that actually kind of wrapped everything up for the podcast that I've begun, First Principles.
Okay. You want to share that idea with us?
Well, it seems kind of silly, but so I have this IT company, and I've always thought of my podcast as something else, right? So I have these other passions, these other interests, and I always thought it as something else. I said, wait a minute, I'm passionate about that too. Why am I not just leveraging that and using it? Because I did a webinar a couple of weeks ago that was for the IT company, and I nailed it, knocked it out of the park. And a lot of those were the experience that I got, during the course. And I said, and so last night, it just hit me. It says, wait a minute, why am I doing something else right now? Why don't I just go ahead and button this up and wrap it all up with that company? And then I can always bridge it out to something else.
Nice.
It's a little slow. Sometimes I'm really slow on things like that. Others that were in the class already made that connection, right? That was like day one. Oh, I can help my business out. It was the exact opposite for me.
But that's what an epiphany is, really. It's when you just realize something that, in retrospect, seems so simple. But, you have to get these weird things happening to get you to connect the dots. And then you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
This is here.
And you never know where that serendipity comes from, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it may be just talking to an Uber driver.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Well, maybe,
and you got to keep your mind open to those ideas. It's about the synapses and being open-minded, and sometimes you can get inspired by just the strangest things in the strangest places.
Yeah, coming to London can help too. Get yourself in a different mindset.
I love traveling for that very reason.
Yeah, it changes your game. Why London Real? Why trust us with this experience?
I just saw no reason that, your passion, your energy, your attitude just comes through so clearly, on the webinar, that you're presenting the program on. And yeah, sure, I could analyze it. I could have checked references and things like that. But at some point, you've just got to just do it. I would have been overanalyzing, and then I never would have pulled the trigger. And I've come to the realization, as you have, that you just got to jump in with both feet and just do it. And just accept the fact you're going to make mistakes. You're not going to get ahead in life without taking risk. The bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. And don't beat yourself up if you fail. I mean, I learned. That's a learning experience. So I invested whatever it is, and I could go back through my life. You could go back through your life, and you can just go down the list. Okay, that experience, that education, that was a $10,000 education. This was a $100 education. This was a $50,000 education, whatever it may be. And you just look at it like that. No one's perfect. And so when you get paralysis if you start thinking of things that way. So if you think you're one of those people that always want to improve yourself, and you think that you might want to jump into broadcasting, this is a great way to do it. It really, you've got to work hard each week, and it's very fulfilling and it's very worth it. So.
Tell me about that first week. I drop you in this group with these 150 people from around the world. I'm asking you to upload video, accountability doc. You got me, live calls twice a week. What's that first 2 weeks like for you?
That's a really good question. Video was the one thing that I'm still not real comfortable with. I'd been on television a couple of times, but mine was always sound, right? The podcast was sound, the radio show's sound. So that took a little bit. That was pretty easy though. Once you do a few of the Zoom deals, you get over that real quick. But here's what I was doing. My brain's just working too overactive. I immediately started taking the accountability docs and started applying it to my other endeavors. So I'm taking and creating my team in the IT company. Here's an accountability doc. We're going to start ripping apart, take the sales and marketing team. We started ripping apart Chris Voss's negotiation book, building a worksheet on it. And then the operations side, we're getting these new security tools and things like that. Okay, you guys got to go through the training. You've got to go through deployment, knowing how to put it in the client's site, because these are very powerful security tools. And we're trying to protect our clients as best we can. But I'm holding you accountable, and your peers are going to hold you accountable by hitting this goal this week. So we've got weekly meetings. Attendance, yes or no? Did you complete the 4 training videos for this particular security product? And so I'm simultaneously doing that while I'm also doing the class. So that I got a lot of value out of that. I started immediately applying everything to other parts as I saw it. So, what is it, the saying about
It's the greatest form of flattery.
Genius, well, the genius of steel. Forgot the first part, but yeah.
I don't know that one.
Oh yeah, it's about artists, I think. Anyway.
Oh yeah. Great artist copy. Good artist copy. Great artist steal.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool. It's a great form of flattery. What was your biggest struggle on the course? What was hard?
It was really about time management because I really had taken on too much, and I've got a lot of moving pieces in my life. Other than that, if I didn't have anything else going on in my life, I would have hit it out of the park. I don't have a 9-to-5 job. I've managed to get out of any of the endeavors that I just parachute in. I don't mean to be flippant about it, but basically it's more of a let's have a productive meeting. Let's make sure we got direction and all of that. And I was fortunate enough to have a lifestyle like that. So it would have been very easy had I not undertaken some of these other endeavors at the last time. But I know that probably most of the people, I guess, have jobs or they're actually running their business, and it's time consuming for them. So you've got to take it serious and commit the time to it. That was really the toughest part for me, though.
Okay. Talk to me about the community. What are these people like? You're meeting them here in London now. You're interacting with Team Rose. What is it like?
I'm surrounded by a whole group of people that really just want to better themselves, learn themselves better, become more and more self-aware. And it's not always like that. You mentioned Mike's buddies last night. And, it's a crab in the bucket mentality. One crab can get out, 5, none of them can get out because they just keep pulling you back in. And you've got to listen and get away from those peer groups that, they just want you to stay like them. So whenever I have an opportunity to be around you and the people in my group, we all have a like-mindedness. We're all self-educated. It doesn't matter, MIT, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you've got an MIT degree, you didn't stop learning, right? There's probably people that have graduated from MIT that's, okay, that's it, I've got a job, I got a great job or whatever. Maybe not MIT because it is a little bit up there, a little ways, but these are like-minded people for me, and I think that's a rarity in society these days. It doesn't matter what country you live in, and many people, it's not to blame or to be elitist about it. By no means. Some people are just struggling to get through life. I know that I certainly did 3 or 4 years ago. So, but it's just fun to be around like-minded people at the same time. But you can just talk about anything.
Yeah. What was your biggest win on the course? The biggest thing you were proud of, or the breakthrough you had, or something you'd be like, okay, yeah, I did this?
I think it was the webinar that was totally unrelated. So I was doing a webinar on security, and some of the tools and techniques that I'd picked up just knocked it out of the park. Even learning from the webinars that you do. I got done with it. I hit 60 minutes on the nose. I have no interaction, right? Which is tough. If you're by yourself and you don't have anybody with a rapport, you've got to really do it. I had a semi-script, but I added to it and ad-libbed quite a bit during it, but I knew the subject so well, it was very good. And so I went through with the passion, right? And the passion, the clarity. And when it was all over with, I looked at it was started at 10 a.m. Central. When it was all over with and I'm signing off on the webinar, I look and it's exactly 11 a.m. So I did it exactly at 60 minutes without even trying. And then I knew that I nailed it. And it was really good. And that really felt good.
Sounds
but
like
the aha for the course, though, is really the principles and the systems and the processes you put in place. So it can be overwhelming, but if you stick to it, it really compresses your learning curve down. It's something that if you try to learn all these things on your own, yeah, you can do it, right? But where are you going to be a year down the road? Why not compress that down to, 8 weeks, 7 weeks, 7, 8 weeks? 8 weeks. Why not compress that down to 8 weeks and you're already ahead? You're not burning another 10 months trying to master it or at least get acquainted with a certain element, whether it's technical, whether it's interview techniques. You've got to compress that because time is the most valuable thing we have. And if you really want to be dedicated to it and really become a really good broadcaster, you've got to compress time wherever you can, especially with the wealth of knowledge out there.
Yeah.
On the internet and everything else. I mean, it's all there.
What does your kind of broadcasting future look like in 12 months? Because I don't know where you're going to go to. I don't know how you're going to implement it, or podcasting or webinars or whatever. But, what does this look like when you're...
Well, I'm definitely doing webinars. Absolutely doing that. I really enjoy them. The podcasting thing, I honestly don't know. I have so many things that I want. I want to work on the foundation, which I've kind of neglected the last couple of months. But I've established a foundation that's encouraging critical thinking skills in young adults. So one of the first things that we're doing is awarding book scholarships. So you read from a list of books, and these are books that you're not going to get, certainly not in U.S. public schools, but even in private schools. So I'm involved with a Montessori school in where I live, and they have a different education technique, but even there you're not going to, get into these old world first principles thoughts and critical thinking skills and reason and logic. And I think that's sorely missing in all forms of education. And if you have those as a young adult, it makes learning everything else so much easier. I really have a passion for that. And so I think there's going to be some leverage along those lines, educating young adults. Hey, maybe have a series of shows about just logic. What's the basis of logic? Where did the logic come from 2,000 or 3,000 years ago? Plato. Let's talk about those, because if you understand the first principles of how humans came up with these thoughts, we're not reinventing, we're not coming up with those now. These have been thought for thousands and thousands of years, and it really hasn't changed. And so first principles is often inside of philosophy.
And that's what you're going to do. I love it.
Yeah.
How is Tom different? If we walked out on the street right now and bumped into the Tom that didn't take this course, how's that guy different than you?
I'm more of a just do it guy. Yeah, just more, let's get it done. You buy the ticket, you take the ride. So when I'm talking to my IT team, I said, okay guys, here's what we're doing. In the past, I would gather up a consensus. I would make sure that everybody understood. Here's the destination. Do you agree with that? If you don't, let's talk that through so I can convince you. And now it's, okay, I'm certain this is the right path. If you bought the ticket, you're taking the ride or you're going to get left behind. So if you miss out on the accountability dock, we're not circling back. Catch up. Or get off the roller coaster. If you bought the ticket, you're taking the ride. And so that's really the biggest thing that I got out of it. You didn't wait. I was called out as a clown one week. So I went out worst to first. I don't know if you noticed, but I went worst to first in like a week or two, I think. I think it was a week, actually.
Yeah.
And because I knew that, you're not circling back for me. There is child left behind, right? So, okay, got to get caught up if I'm going to be serious about this.
Yeah, nice. Look, that's what I want people to learn. Pull the trigger, start before you're ready, be ready with it. It's not perfection. If it is perfection, you just got left behind from someone else who pulled the trigger. So that's what it's always about. I think even Pena says, I'm sometimes in error, but never in doubt. And that's what we need from leaders.
And it's confident. It's absolute confidence and going ahead and making a decision and accept the fact that it may be wrong. But if all indication is that it's a sound decision, don't make decisions based on ego because you think you're smart. If you base a decision upon all the available information and it needs to be a timely decision, just make the decision and live with consequences. And if you've based it properly on the right principles and the right logic, then chances are you're going to be right more often than wrong.
Mm. To someone who's thinking about taking this course, but they're on the fence, what would you tell them?
Just do it. If you're really thinking about doing a podcast and you really think that's something that really interests you, I can't think of a quicker way to get up and running and really doing it right, because you're covering all the bases. And will you be a master at it at 8 weeks? Oh, hell no. Hell no. But you've got the foundation laid. You've got those first principles laid. And it's something, it may be 2 years later, and all of a sudden you go, oh, wait, I remember that now. I worked that in, and otherwise you wouldn't have had that. So just do it. What you got to lose. And make sure you understand your time is valuable. Money buys time, and money is not an end of itself. Time is the most, Seneca said that we're given copious amounts of time. Time isn't abundant for human life, but we fritter it away, and often that's on resistance or other things that are not productive. And so it seems as you start, when you hit a moment of mortality in your life, and all of us do, all of a sudden time becomes even more valuable. But if we understood that when we're 12 or 24 or 36, I'm healthy, I'm fine, everything's going to work out, I'm going to live forever, you're still frittering away time. And everybody dies, and that's it. Nobody escaped as far as I know.
It's funny how as humans we can try to save a few dollars here, save a few dollars there, and then waste 2 weeks or 2 years trying to learn something or do something or spend time with people with bad energy, and yet we don't try to claim that $1,000 back. And so the time is what you have.
We make these decisions every day, right? You know, well, I'm not going to drive there. That's a 22-hour drive. I'm going to buy an airplane ticket and get there quicker. So you're making that decision. You're buying time by buying an airplane ticket rather than taking the train or driving. And so this is the same principle, right? You're in the grocery store and you buy the strawberries that are already topped or sliced or whatever. You're buying time right there. Now, I personally don't mind slicing strawberries and all of that, so I get it fresh and do it that way. But convenience, time is actually the best use of money I can think of, to me. And if you don't think that way, maybe you have to come at it from a different angle. But for me, it's all about, I've got to learn this, master it in as shortest period of time as possible. It's similar to what Tim Ferriss does. You know, how do I take the wealth of human knowledge and learn what this guy does, similar to what you do? You do this. You know, how do I take that knowledge and leverage it to increase my understanding, to get there quicker and faster, so I don't have to put the 10,000 hours in, right?
Yeah, for mastery. Tom, it's been amazing having you on this course. I can see you're like reinvigorated with this energy and this group, and you got new ideas flowing through your head. So I love seeing this. You know, welcome to the family. You're gonna be part of London Real for a long time. You got this peer group, you got me here. So really looking forward to what you're gonna do in all of your broadcasting ways, whether it's webinars or podcasts or working with kids. And it's been a real pleasure having you on this course.
Well, thank you very much. I look forward to continuing to follow your endeavors. It sounds like you have the same passion that you did several years ago, maybe more.
Maybe more at this point.
Maybe more.
At London Real, we say it's about the journey. I wish you well in yours, Tom. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Cool.
London Real doesn't stop when the conversation ends. You see, that's when we get started. Because everything begins with a thought, and then comes the action. The London Real Academy is our global transformation platform. Here we bring together thousands of students from over 75 countries. Whether you want to build a profitable business from your passion, or learn to speak to inspire, or broadcast yourself with your very own podcast, or accelerate your life to become a high-performance person, we have the online accountability course and personal mentoring program that will make your dream a reality. Join us, and we'll take your life to the next level, together. Our next accelerator course is starting soon.